Back, Egypt is a large and attractive Middle East market, of course, with its strategic position in the region, with other skills, low labor cost, skilled workforce, unique touristic potential, sustainable energy reserve, large domestic project. Egypt has many potentials to be one of the major countries in the region in the field of course, in economy. To know more about how to boost Egypt in the field of economy, we are joined by Mrs. Nancy Abdelal, and she's a businesswoman and a sustainable development expert. Hello and welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I have to agree with everything you've said in terms of Egypt being, and we will see it happening soon, being one of the top leaders in terms of having one of the top markets and economies in the region. I think we're in the beginning. You know, we're moving down the course, but we're on the right direction, and I think it's very promising, our future.
So you're one of the people who returned back from the United States after being born in the United States and living in the United States. You chose to come back and set up your business back here in Egypt. So if you can tell us a little bit about this background, why did you come back and why are you setting up your business here in Egypt, as well as your aspirations, to have maybe this, the idea of having the expats supporting the Egyptians in the local economy too.
Yes, yes, you're right. I was born and raised in the United States and educated and spent most of my life outside of Egypt. Born to two Egyptian parents, of course, having this strong connection or tie to my parents' homeland and now my homeland. And at the same time, I came back for more than one reason, aside from the reason of feeling a connection to Egypt and feeling an obligation and a duty to take part in our country's development. But I also felt that Egypt is quite promising. I felt that there's so much potential in Egypt. I felt that as much as we may be going through some difficult times economically and socially, but I think that we're on the right track. And because I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I felt that it's a good opportunity not only to set up a business in Egypt, but also to encourage other people to come and to seek the same opportunities and potential that I have found in Egypt as well.
Very good.
Okay, you're establishing a business here in Egypt. What are the obstacles that are facing you?
I think most of the obstacles that people face in establishing business in Egypt had a lot to do mostly with the bureaucracy or the steps needed to actually physically establish the business. What I'm excited about is that this new investment law is changing all that, in the sense that it's making the process a lot easier. It's automating the process so that things can now be done online versus having to go to GAFI. At the same time, also a new initiative that was recently took place between both the Ministry of Investment and International Cooperation and also the Ministry of Immigration and Egyptian Expat Affairs was the establishment of a window for Egyptian expats to be able to deal with GAFI or establish a business or any kind of dealings. So this is something really good because it gives an extra incentive to Egyptian expats abroad to consider, again, establishing a business that the process itself is going to be less complicated, tedious. So there are a lot of steps being taken now to make this process a lot easier. The other thing I found is that I think in Egypt, I think we're in the right direction, but I think we still are establishing a good understanding of what healthy competition is. When you, as a new business coming into the market, you may find challenges in terms of your competitors and how they view you and how they work with you or work against you. So I think this is one thing also But this is a social thing. It's not related really to the government. It's something among Egyptians that we need to be more open to the idea that competition is a good thing. It improves the quality and access, of our products and services.
And grows the market too.
Exactly. It helps expand the market. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. For me, as also someone who didn't live in Egypt, learning also about the local culture, how things are done in Egypt and how business transactions go through, because every country and every culture has their own way of doing business or negotiating. And this is something I studied. I completed a master's in diplomacy and international relations, but I focused on global negotiation, conflict resolution. So part of my studies was understanding how to work or how to deal within other cultures.
Yes.
And I think what I've tried to do with establishing my business is being like a bridge between the local government and local businesses, as well as the interested investors abroad, to help facilitate the process to make it easier for them in doing business in Egypt, because I'm somewhat like 1 foot here and 1 foot there, and sort of a bridge between both cultures.
Very good. So can you tell us a little bit more about this initiative, your thoughts? How can we help you? How can the other ministries also support you in this idea?
Sure. What I'm doing, or the purpose of my company, how it was established, and in fact my partner is not an Egyptian, he's from Sultanate Oman, so he's from the Gulf region, and he agreed to establish the business with me after visiting Egypt and seeing the vast potential that Egypt has, but also quite frankly falling in love with Egypt in sense of as a whole picture, a country that has so much culture, history, heritage. The people are very kind and hospitable, cultured. So he saw that. He saw beyond any kind of small issues and saw that the country has vast potential. For us, we established the company with the purpose of promoting Egypt as a whole, promoting every aspect that's important to our economy, like tourism, like investments, because as we know, the biggest issue now we are facing is price increases or inflation. And this can be alleviated if we encourage investment in the country, and with the establishment of new companies and production of more products and distribution of more products in the market, the prices will automatically go down. It's a formula. So in order for us to be able to get over this stump that we have now, we need to encourage and we need to promote investment in our country, whether it's foreign direct investment or whether it's encouraging Egyptians abroad to reconsider reconnecting with Egypt in a way that is win-win situation. It will be a good return on investment for them and also be very good towards the development of our country. So what I try to do is I try to also get the information from the various ministries, like the Ministry of Investment, to understand myself first, what does this new investment law entail, and then to be able to explain it to people abroad and to be able to answer their questions or even alleviate their fears of, but how can I invest in Egypt? What if I invest? How can I get my profit out of the country? Can the business be stopped at any time? I mean, to be able to understand that this new investment law is dealing with all those issues. It should be passed within a few days, from what I understand. I mean, shortly. It will be in effect, and then we will be able to see about the impact it has. But if we follow what's happening in the news, and definitely with our very active and very dynamic Minister of Investment and International Cooperation, there's a lot of interest and a lot of investments pouring into Egypt from all over the world. My focus now, again, I welcome all investments, but my focus now is specifically on Egyptians abroad. The 10 million Egyptians abroad, they should have priority, or they should consider, if they are really serious about investments, they should consider Egypt as their number one, destination for investing and establishing business. And also, even if it's a small investment like purchasing Shahadat Biladi, which begins at $100 and can be purchased online via credit card.
Yes, it's an investment.
It's an investment in your country's future, in your country's development. I think with more interest, more investment, we will really reach our milestones in a very, fast time.
I love that.
Mrs. Nancy, any investor who wants to come to Egypt, he first tests the market.
Sure.
So what's your estimation for the situation of the market nowadays? How do you see it?
I see, as much as we have some challenges that we are faced with, and there are several government initiatives as well as private initiatives to deal with those issues. I think there's vast potential. I think we have to look at Egypt in terms of short-term investments and long-term investments. The potential we have for long-term investments is, unimaginable. It's incredible. We have this golden triangle. We have many mega projects. Some of them, like the new administrative capital, has been listed as one of the top mega projects in the world. We have other major mega projects and expansions including what you mentioned in the beginning, Egypt becoming is so rich in natural resources, including natural gas and other minerals. So I think the future is quite bright. I think that for anyone deciding to come and, like you said, to test the market, will find that as long as they are patient and they're looking more towards long-term investment, they can really find a good return on their investment as long as they invest wisely. And this is anywhere in the world, is to invest wisely, to really understand the market, understand its needs, understand what the problems our society is facing, so that their product or service will actually offer solution to those problems. This is how they can find a profitable investment. For example, like real estate has been a number one choice for investors because we have great potential here in Egypt. In fact, even today, you can purchase a villa in Egypt in a very prime location, probably for less than you can purchase a garage in Paris. So we still have very competitive advantages in many different markets and sectors. It's just, again, for investors to understand, to study the market well, and to connect with the right resources, and to be able to invest wisely.
So I strongly believe that what you're doing is really wise in terms of bridging the gaps and sharing information that could be very difficult for expats to learn about. But again, from another side, there is a lot of things also to bridge. So, for example, I'm convinced, I'm living abroad, I'm convinced to establish a small business in Egypt, but I don't really know who can help me to do that from one side, what type of resources, how to reach those resources, and so on and so forth. In your opinion, maybe what you have provided is a very good step, but it's step number one. But what about the rest of the stages? What are your advices or opinion on that?
Sure. One of the initiatives, of course, I was participating in the Egypt Can 2017 conference, مصر تستطيع بالتي مربوطة. And this was a conference, as you know, where there were 31 Egyptian expat female leaders were invited to come and participate in the conference, and it was under the auspices of the presidency and the Ministry of Immigration, as well as also the National Women's Council. And this was an opportunity for the Egyptian expat experts to come and meet, and be introduced to the Egyptian society. It was an opportunity for the Egyptian society to understand the role that the Egyptian expats can play and how important that role will be towards our development. One of the initiatives that we had discussed, and hopefully it will be implemented with the Ministry of Immigration, is to hold a sort of a business forum or B2B meetings with Egyptian businessmen as well as Egyptian investors abroad, or Egyptian businessmen abroad. And this is exactly to do what you said, to combine between those businessmen that have that international business knowledge and experience, as well as those resources, with the Egyptian businessmen that have the local knowledge, that have the local resources, and to be able to bring them together to hopefully cooperate or collaborate on different initiatives. And for them as well, the Egyptian businessmen, to learn about the different opportunities, investment opportunities, and the different investment laws. So this was this is hopefully an initiative that we'll be able to launch shortly. And we have another initiative that, if you allow me to just mention,
Sure.
Very quickly. As you know, the priorities that we have in Egypt is towards our Egypt National Vision, our Vision 2030, which is our development strategy program. And as core, how should I say, priorities within that strategy is towards the empowerment of both youth and women, as well as to help for more engagement for youth and women in the economy and in the society. And at the same time, the President has initiated different national youth conferences, which began in Sharm el-Sheikh and most recently was in Alexandria. And at the conclusion of that conference, which was meant to basically discuss all the issues that the youth see as priorities towards our development, it was about education. The focus was on education, that this is core. Educational reform will be a priority in order for our country to truly see sustainable development. And as you know, of course, recently the Minister of Education had announced that there were some major reforms to the education system, including the cancellation of the secondary school or primary school certifications and the overhaul of the Sanawiyya Amma. So there'll be a new system in place next academic school year. This means we're moving in the right direction. There's good progress. An initiative that I won't go into details because it's still in the content.
Actually, we ran out of time. We need another interview with you, Mrs. Nasia Abdelhadi, a sustainable development expert and businesswoman. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.